Welcome back to another edition of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. Welcome to Sunday, December 29th, just about at the end of the year. Still hoping we can make that 40,000 subscriber plateau. Looks unlikely, but hey, got to be an optimist to the very end here. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's going to be a little bit different today because no, I'm not going to say bombshell, Justin Trudeau resigning, because it's nonsense. And another Liberal MP says he wants Justin Trudeau to resign. Yeah, sorry, that's not big news. It's an excuse for news because this is the slowest news time of the year. And the last thing I want to do is come on here and waste your time. But what's been happening the last 2 days on X with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy versus the Make America Great Again crowd is fascinating. And it concerns me, really concerns me, that Donald Trump appears to be siding with Elon Musk and Ramaswamy. Now, now, there's a problem here because these two are the ones who have been tasked with the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. And this has been one of the best laid plans of Donald Trump for his administration. And these two seemed ideal to be part of that. And I'm not jumping to conclusions like a lot of people and saying it's all over, that there's a split within the populist conservative movement that can't be healed. There's a rift that can't be sewn together. But I want to make it clear that I stand for free speech. And people are allowed to disagree with Elon Musk without being insulted or without Elon Musk sounding like a madman, using language that is quite literally horrifying. But let's have a look. I don't know if you ever watch this presenter. The Jimmy Dore is a brilliant comedian. He used to be sort of a left-wing, blue-collar Democrat, and the COVID pandemic changed him completely. Totally changed his outlook. So let's listen to a bit of Jimmy Dore because he's put this together. And I think he really puts it in a context that's interesting because he doesn't come at it with a series of biases that I think make him susceptible to saying we always have to support whatever Donald Trump says, or we always have to support whatever Elon Musk says, or conversely, we always have to side with what the voices of MAGA say, whoever they might be on any given day. I think he brings some objectivity to this, and let's have a listen to this.
In the right wing happening right now. It's good because it's something that would never happen under the Democrats, because the Democrats are not allowed to ever ridicule their leadership or talk out of line, but the MAGA is, and this is what's beauty. So remember when Trump said this?
Now, I think this is a key point. Democrats are not allowed to do this. They're not allowed to be honest. They're not allowed to say, I don't agree with that. And I think I'm not going to mouth the talking points. And I think he makes a very good point here.
About immigration.
For decades, this company has served the needs of American workers. It's time we had a federal government that does the same. The Buy and Hire American order I'm about to sign will help protect workers and students like those of you in the audience today. This historic action declares that the policy of our government is to aggressively promote and use American-made goods and to ensure that American labor is hired to do the job. Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. this will stop.
Oh, really?
American workers have long called for reforms to end these visa abuses.
Okay.
And today their calls are being answered for the first time.
Okay, so they're talking about, so there he is. He's saying one thing, but now the guys that he's got surrounding him, the billionaires like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, are saying the opposite. Because Trump was saying he's going to protect American labor against visa abuses. Well, so there's this big fight online happening over the H-1B visas. Now, we just showed you Joe Biden's on the same page as Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. He did the same thing to truckers. He made it so that they can bring in foreign workers they can drive trucks in America. And that's not because we have a shortage of truck drivers in America. That's because corporations who employ truck drivers want to pay them a lower wage. And so that's why immigration's happening like the way it's happening. And so Joe Biden, on his way out the door, we did a video on it, gave the finger to the working class, and the finger is, screw you, we're lowering truckers' wages by making the special visas available to guys who are going to come in here and drive trucks in America and drive your wages down. And that all started, by the way, with Jimmy Carter. So he's just like our friend Salente was saying, he was not the great guy that people think he was. We haven't had a great president in forever.
I disagree with that. Ronald Reagan was a great president. But the point here is that Trump has been sending out mixed signals from day one after he won this election. I mean, what is Marco Rubio doing as his nominee for Secretary of State? Why is he there? His Secretary of the Treasury nominee has worked for George Soros. We have a lot of funny, and I don't mean comical, but strange selections. And it's enough to give us pause to wonder what's going on. What are the machinations going on here? And this whole incident with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy is fascinating because it underlines the uncertainty. When you can never put complete trust in any political leader. I say that time and time again on this broadcast, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's Pierre Poilievre. Never put your complete trust in them. Always know that you have to keep pushing back because they always have their own agenda, ultimately, to some degree, that won't agree with yours or with ours. And so it's necessary to constantly insist upon honesty and consistency from our political leaders, whether or not we think they're always going to be on our side or not.
So I don't even know when. So maybe you got to go back to FDR, maybe. But then if you're Japanese, you'd have a different idea. But anyway, right-wing warfare pits big tech against MAGA over H-1B visas. Now, this is actually exciting for me to see that MAGA is pushing back against the Trump administration. I'm talking about the voters, the movement. MAGA, isn't Trump. MAGA is the people who put him in office. So the H1, go. You want to say something?
Yeah. Okay. So I was looking at this today because I was trying to understand it. And I'm sure it all comes down to paying people less. But the thing I thought that they were talking about, Vivek, or this is how he put it, he could be lying.
Well, let me get to it. Let me get to it before let's not do a spoiler. The H-1B1 visa program allows U.S. companies to employ foreign workers in specialty occupations. I guess truck driver is one of them, particularly in the tech industry. Discussions about reforming this program have intensified, with some advocating for the removal of country-specific caps on green cards to address extensive backlogs faced by applicants from countries, including India. Okay. Now okay. So meanwhile, Musk, the world's wealthiest man, has benefited from the H-1B program, both personally and professionally. He first came to the United States on a J-1 academic visa that he says transitioned into an H-1B. Tesla is also among the companies to rely on the program, having hired 724 H-1B workers in 2023 alone. So instead of 724 engineer or high-tech workers being hired at Tesla that are from America and American schools, they imported these people from other countries. And the big reason is you want to pay them less. That's the big reason. But MAGA evangelists like Laura Loomer believe Musk's influence within Trump circles serves his own interests. On Twitter, Loomer singled out Musk and his tech allies, including Bach CEO Aaron Levy and PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, suggesting that the new Doge initiative for government efficiency is just a cover for sending funds to Silicon Valley entrepreneurs.
Now, that's very concerning if that's the case. This is why I'm not saying anything is finalized here. I'm saying we need to assess this in broad daylight, but we need to have the freedom to question. Never lose the freedom to question, because the powers that be are powerful for very good reasons, and they will ride roughshod over our rights in the end if they think it's for their vested interest.
And so now here's what Vivek. So Loomer goes after Musk over this, and Vivek decides to weigh in. And listen to what Vivek has to say. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it, it's money. It's so they can pay them less. That's all this is about. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Now we'll hold on to your because he's going to come. I don't know if you remember, but who's the blonde woman who said she would never vote for a?
Oh, Ann Coulter.
Ann Coulter said she would never vote for Vivek Ramaswamy because she would never vote for an Indian. And everybody's like, whoa, well, here it comes. A key part of it comes down to the culture. Tough questions demand tough answers. And if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Well, the truth is that we should pay for people to become engineers, and then we should hire those people at our American-made companies. That's the truth. We should, if we're low on high-tech people, we should educate them here in our own goddamn country. That's the truth. That's not the truth he's going to tell you.
Yeah.
He's going to say our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long. So he's shitting on American culture. I thought we were exception. We had a culture of American exceptionalism. No, no. We have a culture of American mediocrity. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy, who Ann Coulter said she would never vote for because he's Indian. That's why. And now here he is shitting on our culture. This is really happening. The America
Indian,
Firsters,
the Chinese.
They're supposed to be America Firsters, are now telling you the reason why we have to go get the smarty pants people to run our high tech is because our culture in America sucks. That's what he's saying.
I guess that's what they taught him at Harvard and Yale.
I guess that's what they taught him at Harvard.
Well, those schools also take mostly Indian and Asian. That's why they started doing the affirmative action stuff to block Asians. Well, Asian covers India too, but that's what the whole. So at the schools, they're purposely letting in at the start where he said when it starts young, where they're training the people.
But here he is saying it's not just the colleges and the schools. He says. So our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s, and likely longer. That doesn't start in college. It starts young in caps. He puts it caps. So our whole culture, a culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. You son of a bitch.
And I think that is an incredible one. Do you really think people who were not born in the United States, or for that matter, Canada, should be passing that kind of judgment on culture? I thought the Make America Great Again was a movement to restore American culture by those who still believed in it. I thought that was the issue here, and not to be derided by people like this. Now, I think Vivek Ramaswamy has got some great ideas on a lot of things, but this is highly problematic. And it's also highly problematic for Elon Musk to be holding forth the way he is, calling people a lot of incredibly defamatory names. And I'm not even going to repeat them on here because I will be probably struck from the universe for doing it. But that is the issue for me here. And of course, we have the same issue in Canada. We have like over 1 million students who expect to have their visas extended, to expect to stay here. And Canada has a worse immigration problem, legal immigration problem, than the United States. And of course, Justin Trudeau talks about putting a cap on it, talks about paring it down, and it's all nonsense. And we have an immigration minister who's not prepared to do anything except defend Justin Trudeau constantly. So I don't think this is a game ender. And anyone who says that this is, and I'm going to put Viva Fry on here for a second. Of course, Viva's been on my show and I've been on his. And generally, I agree with him, but I don't agree with what he's saying here.
The interwebs, Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. And quite clearly, I'm not in Florida anymore, Toto. I am back behind the Maple Gulag in Canada, and I'm doing a vlog because it seems that when there's a slow news day on the interwebs, people start fighting with each other. Now, I'm going to back this up just to the beginning. I have an old expression, it's an old philosophy of life. If you honk at one person on the roadway before noon, chances are they are the asshole. If you honk at 12 people before lunch and you say, my goodness, everyone on the roadway is an asshole, chances are you are the asshole. And now bringing that to the fight on Twitter, there are some people out there who seem hell-bent on fighting with everyone all the time, enemy and friend. If you're doing that, chances are you are the problem, not everyone else around you on the roadway. All right, bringing it back to another principle. This is going to be a great one. Put it on.
All right, just hold on a minute, David. That's what X is for. It's for people to get on there and exchange opinions, sometimes nasty opinions. I don't have a lot of time for that because, frankly, I'm too busy doing these broadcasts and working for the Post Millennial and Substack and all the other things I have. I've got a lot of irons in the fire. If I spent 3 hours a day on Twitter insulting people, I think it would be a waste of my time. And quite frankly, I think it's a waste of anybody's time if that's all you want to do. But nonetheless, X was supposed to be the medium, the last medium in social media where free speech reigned. Remember that? When Elon bought it. Well, Elon, like I know the guy. When Elon Musk bought Twitter and eventually changed its name to X, the whole idea was X or Twitter had become anathema to free speech. You couldn't say what you wanted to say without being canceled. And of course, that's exactly what happened to Laura Loomer yesterday. She was canceled on X. She had all of her subscribers gone, all of her followers gone. Her blue check mark disappeared. Now, I don't think that's good. Because you disagree with somebody, you lash out at them and try to cancel them. It's wrong in any circumstance. And we don't want X to become the echo chamber where everybody has exactly the same views and can't agree or can't disagree in anything. Let's listen a bit more of Viva here.
Make it a quote. You should treat your enemies and your friends with equal vigor, but you should give your friends the benefit of the doubt. In the intellectual discussion that is the internet discussion, you know that your enemies are enemies and you have to treat them as such, but it doesn't mean that you let your friends off the hook with poor reasoning. The flip side to that is if you treat your enemies like friends, they will stab you in the back because that's what enemies do. But if you treat your friends like enemies, congratulations, you will turn your friends into enemies. The debate, I'm sure you all know exactly where I'm going with this. pertains to the H-1B1 visa dispute on the interwebs this week. It seems that after Christmas, everyone needed to box on Boxing Day, pun intended, and thus Boxing Day became a fight of what would otherwise be ideological adversaries or ideological allies who have been turned into ideological adversaries. Why does this happen? I actually have a theory as to why this happens. We live in a world now where we have basically created a litmus test, a litmus question of every issue of disagreement, however big or however small. So some of you would look at someone and say, if you support child genital mutilation, aka gender affirming care in minors, that's a deal breaker. That's a litmus test. We know we are not going to get along ideologically on anything. That is where we part ways. When we start applying that philosophy to every policy disagreement, if we disagree on anything, it's a litmus test deal breaker. Congratulations, you fracture allies to the point where everyone is fighting everyone all the time. And that's pretty much where we are right now on this H-1B1 visa issue. All right, the news of the day, for those of you who have not spent any time on Twitter in the last several days. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, come out talking about increasing the quota for H-1B1 visas on an annual basis. I think that's something like 60,000, give or take. I might be wrong, but we're in the tens of thousands. We're not in the hundreds of thousands or millions, but we might be in the low hundreds of thousands. Elon comes out and says, yeah, we need to increase that quota for H-1B1 skilled labor importing from foreign countries because, according to Elon, we're not able to find such skilled labor in America. We're going to get to all of the arguments in a second, but just to outline the players and their positions. Vivek Ramaswamy has a similar take. He says, look, we are simply incapable of finding this level of skilled labor among American workers, among American graduates. And Vivek basically says, look, this has to do with the quality of the post-secondary university education. It's not producing engineers. It's not producing coders. It's not producing the type of skilled labor that we need, such that we are required to go abroad and find this skilled labor and import it temporarily, because these are H-1B1 visas, which are non-immigrant visas. We're required to import it on a temporary basis because we are simply lacking it here.
Now, well, we've heard the arguments. We know what's going on. I played that because I think he's right to in one instance. This is not a game breaker. It's not a game changer. This does not mean Kamala Harris should have won the presidential election. This does not mean Joe Biden has been right for the last 4 years. There's bigger issues than this. The bigger issue, of course, being the fact the border was completely open and 8 million or more illegals came into the United States, which are now threatening to come into Canada. That's a real issue. Now, this is important because it's not just that Vivek and Elon Musk have broken with the MAGA crowd. It's that they don't think the MAGA crowd has a right to disagree. Now, this should not suddenly become the all-consuming argument, because there's so many other things out there that are more worthy of debate. And there's so many other things that Donald Trump is going to move forward on. But the issue, again, is free speech. Do we have free speech on X? We will not have free speech in Canada if Bill C-63 goes through. God help us. And this is why I'm very grateful we're going to be having an early election. That bill will never pass. But always allow people to voice their opinions. And don't ostracize them or cancel them for doing that, because that's what the Democrats have always done. That's what the left has always done. That's what Justin Trudeau wants to do in Canada. That's what the Liberal Party has become all about. Canceling, censoring, silencing. And that's why we always have to resist that. We have to resolve to resist, and that's it. Anyway, I hope I haven't wasted your time with this today, but I think it's important we address it. That it's really the only issue of the weekend. There's nothing happening with Justin Trudeau. He is, yes, considering his future, which he thinks he's going to move forward into an election with in the new year. Mark my words, we will have an election in February or early March. And our redemption draweth nigh. We are going to move forward beyond Justin Trudeau and the tyranny he has lorded over this country. for the last 9 years. We are going to move forward. There will be an early election. And as I keep saying, the Liberals will not have time to replace Justin Trudeau. And he knows that, and he wants that. He wants to be the leader of the Liberal Party because he thinks he's going to stay as Prime Minister. Not going to happen, folks. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I remind you again, the store is open. Keep buying. 15% off until midnight, December 31st, New Year's Eve.
Ho, 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 ho!
Back again tomorrow, folks. Thanks for watching. Resolve to resist. And we'll be back with all the news you need to know.